Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. আয়ন টিভির পর্দায় যারা আছেন এবং যারা ফেসবুক এবং ইউটিউবে লাইভ স্ট্রিমিংয়ে আছেন তাদেরকে জানাচ্ছি এডুকেশন অ্যান্ড ক্যারিয়ার উইথ নাজিম শোতে আমন্ত্রণ অ্যান্ড স্বাগতম। আজকে আমার একটা স্পেশাল গেস্ট আছেন, উনি হচ্ছেন আমিরুল ভাই চৌধুরী। তো আমি ওনাকে আমির ভাই ডাকি, আমিরুল ভাই ডাকি। আমির ভাই, you are a special guest to me because you have done something that I always puzzled about. How can such a young man remain young for such a long period of time and connected to so many people in our community and doing business and philanthropic work, a living icon for all of us to emulate. So I wanted to welcome you to our show.
Thank you, Nazim. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be in your show.
Excellent. So our guest, please be a part of this show, and if you have any questions or comments, you can always comment on our Facebook and YouTube pages, and at the same time you can give us a call on the number that you can see on the screen. Sky 782 Ion TV, we're always with you. Please stay tuned. So I will now firstly go ahead and Amirul Bhai, I wanted to just let you know that this show will be divided into 3 different segments. In the first segment, I wanted you to share your story with us, with all of us. Your formative years, for example, from childhood to, let's say, high school and college. And then I will say transformation and transition years. So this is more about going into universities, getting the first job, and then creating your first business, and then moving on to, let's say, 40 years. And then, of course, leadership and legacy. I know you have created some unique companies that contributed so much to our communities. Chital Communication is one. Jonomot is another one, yes. But you are also one of the big companies, construction companies, chief executive officer. And you have full knowledge about planning, regulation, business development, construction, so many things that we can learn from you. But this show is aiming to target younger generations and parents. So, approach them sometime as a parent. You are a father of 3. And also, if you look back your childhood, also share your ideas with younger people.
Sure.
So I want to invite you to share your formative years of life, foundation and formative years of your life.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. I am here, and as I said, it's an honor and a privilege to be part of your show, Nazim Bhai. And particularly, this show, I just came here for the first time, and I can see what you're targeting and what your message is. So it's always, I'm sure you'd say the same thing, it is always very difficult to talk about yourself, right? But highlighting something about yourself that can help others, it's always, we have to do that. So in light of this, about myself, I came with my father and my mother in 1976 when we came to this country. I was 5 years old. So when we came to this country, obviously, just like everybody else, we stayed, and I am the youngest in the family of 4 brothers and 2 sisters. So therefore, my mother, I was the youngest being, so my mother took me with her back to Bangladesh. So I stayed here and stayed in Bangladesh and went to the local primary school. So Pashala Pash, 1980, I think in 81, I came back here with my dad again. And then when I came back, my immediate older brother, I stayed with him and basically went to the normal education system, went to a primary school, lived in Finsbury Park, and then moved to secondary school, the normal progression. It was a different time at that time. When we look at 1980s, when I went to school, I remember it was just literally, there's probably about 5%, Bangladeshi kids in any school, and maybe combined together 10% when you look at Asians. Then you've got the black and community and all that. So there was a different time. This country, I mean, we always go back, and I think that time was a different time. The way you're growing up, your work experiences, and all of that stuff were completely different. So, however, through this process, at that time we did our O levels, and I did a BTech National Diploma in Business and Finance. That was just a choice. I think I always had an entrepreneurial spirit within me, and I tell you why. The first ever product or company we set up, it was called S&A Filming Company. It was me and my business partner, my nephew, and we used to do video filmings, and we still have some of the stuff available. So, entrepreneurial element, and you being a very successful entrepreneur, Nazim Bhai, it's something tells you within that I have the ability to sell something, to someone and make a profit. And I think we both will agree. That is a very simple concept. And when that concept works, then you look at, hold on, I've just sold one item and I made, let's just say £1. Then how do we sell 1,000 of those? And that becomes the challenge, that becomes the logistical thinking, that becomes how do you put everything together, which then allows you to excel into the real business world. So I even, so when I look back and I think, what did I do? I think a lot of people, we are blessed to get all the credentials, credits from people when you're successful. People always think, oh my God, I worked so hard and you did really well and everything else. But often you look at yourself, I didn't really do anything. All I did is I followed something. And yes, of course you need, one of the key things you need is support. You need the freedom and the independence, particularly from your families. And when we were having a conversation as we were walking into the studio, I think I was very blessed because my brother, who is an academic himself, he provided me a very complete freedom. So I had no worries of mortgage, bills, nothing. I just slept, and all I was thinking about how to make my money, how to do this. But I made my contribution to the family through my, entrepreneurial journey, and alhamdulillah, everyone has benefited from that. But that comfort was the biggest thing for me, because if you were stressed out and you didn't have all these opportunities, then it wouldn't have been that easy for me to be able to embark on that journey. So came along after I finished my national diploma. I applied. I was just about to go to university and do my BA honours in business and finance, and suddenly the opportunity came of the mobile phones. So there was so much, as you know, there's so much going on about the technology enhancements, if you like, and therefore came Mercury 1-to-1. I think they issued 2 or 3 licenses at that time, and Cable and Wireless and AT&T took 1 license the UK government has gave, which was the Mercury 1-to-1 brand. And that brand came, and there were other people selling. So I and my co-founders, we started selling for another company. And then we realized that we are doing most of the selling for them. Remember, it's a natural entrepreneurial thinking. I want to do it myself, right? So I started making phone calls and looking for who is giving out the dealership. And the dealership was then granted in Birmingham. They said, if you come to Birmingham, we'll give you a dealership, because London, we're not taking anyone. So I decided I'm going to go to Birmingham. I just left everything as a way. Can you see how the entrepreneurs were cycling? I said, I'm going to go to Birmingham. So I went to Birmingham. We got a shop. Then I got an apartment. I said, I'm here. And they said, okay, if you're in Birmingham and you're that desperate, we'll give you a dealership. So they gave us a dealership. So me and my co-partners, we were very fortunate. We got the dealership and everything. So we started ordering the phones, and we basically flooded the market. So you remember I told you, the idea was that how much you're making. We wouldn't even, bluntly I'll tell you, I never looked at how much profit you were making. The idea was to reach the target. So a lot of people don't, again, it's a blessing. A lot of people probably think, I've got to check all this, whatever. But the idea was to meet the target. There is a plan, and if you meet the target, you get paid. And then obviously the paycheck started coming, and oh my God, I felt so, every day of the week, whenever I get an opportunity, I say, Ya Allah, I'm grateful to you for you have shown me a path, because you can do how much hard work, but you need to be shown some path. That needs to be happening, and I'm sure, Nazim bhai, you'll agree with me. So that happened. So we became very big in the communication sector. We were doing thousands of mobile phones connections. We had 3-4 shops, shopping centers, and all that stuff. So we moved accordingly along with everything that was happening. So we did. So practically from there on, in 1995, again, one day I was sitting at home. Me and my brother was eating on the table. And he said the government has, he was a senior housing officer and is a lecturer in the university. And he said to me, the people who are living in the properties, the ex-local authority houses, the government has introduced the 75% discount. Do you see?
Yeah.
And when my brother said that to me, I always pick up things very quickly. I had that thing in me, Nazim bhai. And then my brother started telling everybody, and most of our families, everybody, including my dad's property, which my brother, obviously looked after passing away. My brother bought that as well, and he told many other friends, and we jumped onto that. Quite well. I think me and my brother, we both jumped, along with many thousands of people. But being a housing officer, he had all the first-hand information. So again, we bought, alhamdulillah, property, we bought properties and all that stuff. Therefore, if you're buying a property for 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, Nazim bhai, you can imagine, you're like picking up. So again, alhamdulillah, you see, it came. Something has blessed us with the knowledge and information. So we bought properties, and that's how my property journey started. Then we're looking at the rental market and everything else, good life, because until George Osborne came and started changing. You're into properties and you know that, right? And which was quite a normal thing. So again, that was another, like how I did Mercury 1-to-1, that was another opportunity came in. And then came, you do the residential market, which is like you're making 600, 700 pound profit. And suddenly you start thinking, what do people do with the commercial properties? And then you start delving into that, and then I delved into that area as well. So delving into the commercial side of the properties gave you a different dynamics, thinking, you have to think differently, the longevity, how fast, what you can put, the tenants, covenant, and the legal elements that comes with it, and the complications. So again, then I joined my best friend, one of my best friends, Atiq Chowdhury, the founder of Yum Yum Thai restaurant up in North. So I joined with him, and we started buying commercial properties as well. So that's where, how the transition has happened, and how I've climbed the ladder is based on those things. But of course, every time I made a move, I tried to at least understand that how much risk is there. There's always a risk, but there's a time that comes in, you almost think there is no risk, because you're an entrepreneur, remember, Nazim, right? If I've done all my tick boxes, then there is no risk. The job is done.
Calculated risk.
Calculated risk.
Yeah. You reduce it.
And reduce it.
You go through the checklist and reduce it.
Checklist, yes. And then I started learning about, again, being with my good friend Atiq, who is a serial entrepreneur. He's got tons of commercial properties. And then we started noticing Foxtons taking your property, letting to Foxtons, Costa, all of these brands. Suddenly you develop a route into that brand. And suddenly, as a commercial landlord, you also become highlighted within the corporate world that you can provide, you can facilitate the likes of Starbucks, likes of Costa. You have the knowledge and understanding, because to let it to these people, your legal compliance and your property compliance has to be top standard.
Top class, yes.
You cannot say, the guest certificate, I'll give it to you tomorrow. You can't say that. So you are, again, you're being tightened, you're being, you're really shaping all the time, if you like, you see, and you're really getting more aggressive, and you no longer remember the complications, because to you, it's just a daily life.
Yeah.
So Nazim, as I said, we can, whenever we get asked this question, I'm sure you've fallen into that situation many times, it's all about just making sure that what makes the other person near you doing well. We're not talking about copying anybody. We're talking about perhaps learning something really good from certain people. And over the years, I've always ensured that let's see, how my people are doing on the other side, how other people are doing, how they do things. You have to have the education piece intact in every little thing you do, which you guys are into, yourself.
Amazing story. So, colleagues and friends, so Amirul Bhai has shared his illustrious journey. The guy, he came here at the age of 5, and then he went back with his mom, and then studied in Bangladesh in Part1, and then came back at about 10 and 11, and lived with his brother. So, uprooted twice. Uprooted twice, and he adapted himself.
Continuously.
Stayed away from parents and coped with the brothers who loved him tremendously. So I think from here we can see one thing. The pattern is that despite our love and connection, we need to look after the interest of the kids so that they can thrive in the real world, yes?
Totally.
So absolutely. So as a parent, we need to let our child grow so that they can provide a meaningful contribution to the society.
Exactly.
Our love should enriches them. Our love should not be a prison.
Definitely.
Yes, so that's one message I learned from this story. The second thing I learned is that own brother gave him protection and a shelter. He was like a bodgas. And generally, under a bodgas, another tree cannot thrive. But what Amirul Bhai has done, he has used that shelter to find his root, and he found his space and grew up. So what are the skills I spotted here? So the first thing is he started his business in school. Now, you cannot be a salesman. Sales is the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the sales, you need social capital. You need to be extrovert. And we need to have the persuasion skills. Definitely. So developing those skills from childhood is immensely valuable. I think. So that's why we need to support our kids so that they become extrovert, they become open-minded, and they can see the social trend, yes?
Definitely.
And then they build connections.
Yes.
And they build their social capital through connection. And then they should persuade each other. Persuasion needs to develop. It's a skill. It's not a thing that you learn in the book.
Definitely.
So for example, going out with friends, he will hammer each other. Yeah. There will be a bit of fight, there will be a bit of chit chat, and then you develop your persuasion skills. And then sales is ultimately the tip of that iceberg. So I think we all need to support our kids so that they become open-minded, they become socially connected, so that they can network each other, and they persuade others, and always they need to make their own living. The God has given us 2 feet. They need to know how to stand on their 2 feet. Is that right, Amirul Bhai?
100%. And Nazim Bhai, like you just said about the children's side, yeah? I always tell my kids, even the eldest one, the younger, I said, listen, when I came to this country, when I left with my brother has worked extremely hard. Yeah, and I learned that element that how hard he worked, and I worked hard. The idea is never look at your parents' wealth. I told my children, I said, do you know what? If you say to yourself, whatever my dad's got, my mom's got, I don't want it, then you will know what you're going for. And of course, this will be left for you, but you have to look at for your own independence. What we do is, many of us get too boggled into the idea of what we're going to leave for our children. And this is just me, that's my personal view. I've learned that I'm leaving nothing for my children, but if something is left over and left behind and help of Allah's wills, they'll get it. but they should never look at that wealth. They should
Absolutely.
find their own independence, go out there. You'll notice, Nazim, but you go to when you go to, but you've got, how old is your eldest children, yours?
My eldest one is 14 and the youngest one is 4.
Okay, so as you go towards the secondary school education pieces, and as you arrive to the next chapter, you will notice everybody talks about every prospectus. Well, anyway, look, who am I talking to? Every prospectus talks about, we as a school would like to ensure that children are go into their own independent learning,
Yes.
independent mindset.
Yes.
And this is the one I somehow, now I realize that when my dad came here during the East India Dog Company days, he left an independent mind. He said to my mom, probably, I'm going to leave, I'm going to London, I'm going to go by Jaj and whatever, and I'll make sure I'll work and we'll build our life. And
Yes.
that's exactly what happened. But if my dada said to him, Nare Baba, tumi goro takhwazayo na, that what we wouldn't be here.
No, I mean, even for example, let's say, even for example, my granddad
Yeah.
migrated to Burma.
Right.
He stayed there for 5 years, yes?
Yeah.
So even my dad, they did not even show us many love. Because back at that time, generally parents, especially father, had to be tough.
Had to be tough.
Because to earn bread,
Yes.
you have to, go out
You have to
and
go
earn
out.
your bread.
Yes.
And you cannot be really connected to your family so much
Definitely.
that will, that will push him towards the home. I think one more thing I wanted to explore here. So you, of course, spotted a lot of opportunities. Now, what I am asking, what motivated you? What motivated you to spot the opportunity? There is a Chinese proverb. It says, opportunities favor a prepared mind. So you spotted the opportunity because you had a prepared mind.
I think you were
What
spot on.
made you prepare your mind? What drove you to spot those opportunities?
I think there is something which told me that I wanted. I for some reason, when my dad went back to Bangladesh and he passed away, and I looked at my brother, he was working for local authorities at that time. He was a senior officer, and he obviously earned whatever he did. Most of the money he was giving it to families and supporting everybody, because obviously we were a young family at that time. And I somehow looked at how can I contribute to this, to make this easier. And of course, having the entrepreneurial mindset, like you said, you have to be prepared. I mean, you do all the odd things. I mean, I sold, what did I used to sell? I used to sell so many things when I was young. Comics, this, that. To sell something was one of the mind has to continuously, is always looking for something. And I looked at ways how to better our family from where it was. It was already there. I mean, our family was very established, everybody was highly educated in the family. But I wanted to add the financial growth in it. But I did not know that Allah has blessed me to embark on a journey for a mega growth. But you always look at, I've got small starting. When you listen to entrepreneurs, right? Even if you speak to our, well-known Iqbal Bhai stories, he started as a grocery.
Yeah.
But there are many people who have started as a grocery, but have they been able to embark on the journey? Yourself, you went on to look in something, a small college probably, you probably didn't know that you will end up where you are. So yes, what you were saying, Nazim Bhai, was that something has to drive you. For some reason, that's what drove me. My family, my loved ones, my eldest brother. I think I developed a serious love for my very eldest brother, who passed away, basically quite early age. You see, so in his 40s. I was 38, I think, and that made me feel like that, because my eldest brother made the major contribution to us when my father passed away, in terms of love, like you said. So you always think, what can I do? And when an opportunity comes, you always think, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can buy lots of more lands, more this, more that in here. So yeah, going back to your original question, is that it's to do with me and how I want to see my wider family, all succeed and enjoy the good things that we were able to enjoy.
Amazing, amazing. So we'll be going for a break, but before the break, let me summarize.
Sure.
So just like a tsunami, you see a tidal wave coming in. But for the tidal wave to come in, there should be tectonic force that will push the water towards the shore, yes?
Indeed.
So in this case of Amirul Bhai, his tectonic force is his family commitment. So it's not about fulfilling his own ambition. It's not about fulfilling his own wife and son's ambition. It's about wider family support. So one thing I think we should encourage everybody is that do not look after only your world. Your world is connected to many other worlds. Take their burden, and that will drive you to achieve as much as you wanted to achieve. And that will be a bigger force. A bigger force, if you take on responsibilities of many people, then you will relentlessly work hard. Your journey will never finish because you cannot solve so many people's problems. So it's not about you achieving your own ambition. It's also achieving the ambition of your families and brothers. So colleagues, we are exploring various aspects of Amirul Bhai life, his early age, his formation years, and also his business. Now he has also some exciting news to share. He is also a media personality. He's also created so many assets, and he has done many philanthropic work. We'll explore these aspects after the break. So stay tuned, and I'll see you again. Thank you.